We had some technical difficulties, so I'm starting this entire video over from scratch. I apologize for the delay. I meant to upload this sooner, but because of the, complications, I couldn't. But yeah, welcome back to the That Boy Carter YouTube channel. I hope you're all having a fine day. I know I am, even though it's only 5:30 in the morning so far. And today, I just want to make a video just reintroducing myself to YouTube, because I feel like it's been too long since I made a video like this, at least since after cryptozoology, I feel like, or sometime in the summer. But yeah, I have a whole schedule here of what I want to talk about, a whole script. Not a script, but it's like just an outline, kind of. And I'm kind of just freestyling this. I'm just basing this off of the things I wrote down here, but I'm really just coming up with all this off the top of my head. And I didn't really plan this too well. Because you know me, I never plan anything too well. I've actually tried to record this video like 20 times. But it's gone terrible every time. Like, either the footage was too long to upload to my computer, or my friends were being too loud in the other room, or my other friend was doing karaoke too loud in the other room. Things like that. But here we are, finally. Let's just get started with the video. The first thing on here it says to do is apologize for being inactive and discuss video schedule. Yeah, I'm sorry for being inactive. It really isn't my fault. I've been working on music and I've been focused on school. So I've really just been working on just making things outside of YouTube that I really haven't had time for this. So I apologize for that, but I'll try to be more consistent from now on. As far as the video schedule is concerned, I'm not making any fucking promises, because I know if I make a promise, I'll probably break it, because I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna upload every 2 weeks. I'm gonna upload every week. Fuck it, I'm gonna upload every day. And then I'll get like 5 videos into the schedule and I'll be like, this is too much. I'm already struggling with ideas. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to record. I don't know how to fucking talk. I don't know how to do any of this shit. So I end up like falling into a slump a little bit and then just kind of forgetting about it. The next section says to talk about music, and specifically the album I released in December and music I've just been listening to. As far as the album I released in December, The Adventures of Kryptonite, the album's been performing pretty well on streaming services. And overall, like, from a quality standpoint, it's probably my best I've released. And in a way, it's been in the making for several years, because some of those beats are from like my freshman year of high school, and I'm like a junior now, so it's been kind of a minute. And this album does feature more of my production than my earlier projects, because in my earlier projects I was more focused on the rapping aspect of it. I wasn't too concerned with like beats and stuff. I released like 1 beat tape in my freshman year, but that was pretty much it. And I make instrumentals in my spare time. I just don't really release them that much. But this was the first album where I produced like a decent amount of the tracks, like 4 of the 10. The rest of the tracks were produced by Cannon and Steve the Landlord. But yeah, I think this is my most consistent, most coherent album ever. I give it like a 6.57 out of 10. I think I'm on the way to make something pretty good in the future, hopefully. As far as music I've been listening to this dude named Les Baxter. He was like a orchestral like composer from like the 50s. He did a lot of stuff for like movies and stuff. And I've always been a fan of like old classic movies. So like the music reminds me kind of of that, and it's like very like exotic and like album I've been listening to, Ritual of the Savage, is very like exotic themed. I like the song Busy Port. It just has a nice like groove to it. But yeah, I've also just been listening to the people I've always been listening to, like, Wu-Tang, the GZA specifically. I love the GZA. MF Doom, as well as his like stuff, as his like KMD stuff. As far as Company Flow goes, I've been listening to this instrumental album that they released. It's not on streaming services anymore, but they should put it back on streaming services. It's called Little Johnny from the Hospital. It's like an instrumental album. It was their last album as a group, and there's some cool ass beats on here. I've rapped over some of them. I'm rapping on some of them for a future mixtape. Check that album out. It's on YouTube. You can listen to it. It's not on streaming services, like I said. My favorite tracks on there are Linoleum and Friend vs. Friend. That's gonna wrap up that section. Next is talking about movies and stuff. I'll take suggestions from movie reviews. You guys can tell me which ones you want me to like review and stuff. But like, hold up one second. These are the movies I'm gonna be reviewing this week. Shout out to my grandparents for getting me these as an early birthday gift. It's my birthday tomorrow, actually. So that's pretty cool. This movie of the Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas. It's a Hammer horror movie. classic. I don't think it's talked about enough. It's like a 9 out of 10 for me. It's my favorite Hammer horror movie. Even better than Horror of Dracula and The Curse of Frankenstein, like even all the classic ones, just because it has a different take on the Yeti. Like the Yeti has like mental powers, and it like fucks with people and makes them like hallucinate like sounds and stuff. And it's really like an interesting movie. I'd watch it if I were you. I'm not gonna get into too many details because I don't want to spoil it, but basically this dude who's like a botanist goes into the Himalayas, and he wants to go with this expedition to go look for the Yeti. His wife really doesn't want him to go, and the lama at the monastery is like, you can't go. This thing doesn't even exist. It does exist, as they later find out, and then hijinks ensue. That's The Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas, everybody. I give this movie a 9 out of 10. The Invisible Man, classic. This is like the original classic movie. The first one with Claude Rains is a classic. I love this movie. It's basically about this dude who turns himself invisible and goes to a town for seclusion to find a way back to Visible Man. But then the drugs that he shoots up to make himself invisible slowly drive him insane, and then he goes on a mass murder spree, and then gets shot at the end. Sorry for the spoilers, but like, this movie's been out since the fucking 30s. Like, what are you doing? You should have watched it already. I watched the sequel to it yesterday, The Invisible Man Returns, and you know, I don't think it's an accurate title because it's a completely different character, just using the same like elixir that the original character did. But it was overall a decent movie. Although The Invisible Woman, I watched that this morning at like 3. That shit sucked and I hated it. I'm not trying to say that to be rude. It's just it was not a good movie. It didn't have any horror aspects. I don't know how you could consider that a Universal monster movie. It didn't have any fucking like horror aspects at all. I give the original Invisible Man a 10 out of 10, and I give the sequel a 6 out of 10, and I give The Invisible Woman a 2 out of 10. Murders in the Rue Morgue, starring the dude who played Dracula. This movie, I haven't even watched it in full yet, but what I've seen is pretty good. It's kind of messed up at some points. It's about this dude who's trying to find a bride for his pet monkey because he wants to make like a crossed like human monkey hybrid. It's kind of weird, but you know, it's based off of old Edgar Allan Poe thing. It's a pretty good. What I've seen was pretty interesting. There was just some. Even though it's from the 30s, it's like there's some gruesome stuff in it. Most of it is just inferred. They don't really show it exactly, but still kind of, I don't know, makes me a little creeped out. But yeah, that's it for movies pretty much. I don't know what I would give Murders in the Rue Morgue because I haven't finished it yet, so I'm not gonna give it a rating till next week. But yeah, those are the movies for the week. The next part says reading. I'm only going to share one of the books I've been reading. I'm not even that huge of a reader anymore, but you know, I still read sometimes. For school, I'm reading this book called Into the Wild, which is about this dude named Chris McCandless who goes missing in Alaska. But in my free time, I've been reading this book that's a MF Doom biography. It discusses like his risings from, you know, KMD and like the initial like early hip hop scene into becoming the supervillain. And like, you know, that whole origin story and stuff, and like the tragedy that happened in his life. It's been a very educational experience. Not only am I learning more things about Doom, but I'm also learning more about like, you know, the artists that were like adjacent to him and like in the same scene as like the same like underground East Coast scene as him, and like the people he worked with and like that kind of thing. It's a pretty good book. I recommend it. It's called The Chronicles of Doom. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I'm still pretty early into the book. I'm still like on like his KMD days, like around the release of the album. I can't say its name because I'd sound like someone would take it out of context and make it sound bad. But after their like second out, it's around when they're at the point in the book when when the KMD group is around making their second album. And it's interesting to hear about like what Doom was like as a younger artist and like who influenced him and like things like that. The last thing on my list says to show a bunch of sketches. And I don't have any good ones really, but here's some just random ones. The lighting's not good, but here's a ghost with 3 eyes. The lighting's fucking terrible. Sorry. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a bunch of like aliens, Mongolian death worms, submarine tripods. Yeah. Here's a robot with a big old dick. But yeah, that's it. That's all, folks. The last thing on there told me to play a snippet for the outro. So I'm gonna play a snippet of some unreleased shit. Catch y'all later.
Inhospitable habitat for plastic trash. We keep a savage act. Their vision's limits give them cataracts. Attacking brats. On tracks the action lacked is a dark ride, not a manner in possession. Painted pictures professional, while y'all's cameras couldn't catch this. Spectre spectating the spectacle you making, caught a second hand, coughing abrasive. Talk is tainted when a non-authentic reception. Attention seeker gets the speakers. Team up on the game with my collective while you left it bleachers. Game of the most danger, proud the grounds with an elephant gun. Helpless they run, watching each helmet get flung. Warfare of guerrilla nature, a killer with iller flavor. A villain and instigator, don't give relevance fucks. And when I'm self-destruct, remind myself must continue this. Yeah, I fucking suck. Still wipes your shitty music, useless, never using wits. Acting a patriot when your ass is Canadian. Stop playing a bitch and get your ass away from hip-hop.